Live from the local station, this is Weather Authority Weekday.
Hey everyone, I'm Meteorologist Mark Collins on this Wednesday Weather Authority update. We are looking at delightful weather. What a big turnaround. The nor'easter that gave us the wet weather is starting to wind down. Sunshine's come in, so we've got some cooler temperatures coming in this evening. We're also looking at a second nor'easter for the weekend. I'll tell you if it will be as wet as the one that we just had. And third, today marks the peak of the hurricane season, September 10th. And we're going to discuss why it's so eerily quiet out there. But first off, some pretty pictures to show you. Let's show you how sunny it is here in North Florida. Now we're talking about the lack of cloud cover in our area. It looks pretty nice out there. The breezes are still up, but those breezes have brought down some drier air to the north. And you can see how cloud-free it is across town, where the sunshine is bright, and that's a big departure from the clouds and the showers that we had yesterday. Now there are still some clouds out over the Atlantic, but these are due to an area low pressure that's moving away from us. So a big difference if you're watching us on the beach. It's still quite windy there, but those clouds have some rain with it, but that rain is going to be staying off the coastline. So let's take a look here at, let's see, are we up on which graphic? I'm thinking that we're seeing myself full screen. The beach shot does have some clouds out there, but none of those showers are moving in here through the area. This is the look at Guy Harvey Resort in St. Augustine, where you can see what I'm talking about. This would be the one spot where we might see a sprinkle or two here for the mid-morning hours, and then the bulk of the rain would be shifting southward through the afternoon. And that leaves us with comfortable temperatures here in the mid-80s. So it's going to feel real nice out there, not particularly hot. Those winds are still elevated today. And you're looking at a couple features here. That trough is that dashed line across Central Florida. That really kind of separates the sticky air areas, which will be separated from the dry air to the north, which includes us here in Northeast Florida. So this morning we actually woke up with numbers in the upper 50s and low 60s in Georgia. In fact, in Atlanta it was 55 degrees. And tonight we're going to be dealing with comfortable temperatures as well. We're still looking at that coastal flood advisory. So this is not due to rain. When we have coastal flood advisories, it's usually due to onshore winds backing up water in the St. Johns River or causing extra wave run-up along the shoreline. It's not from what's falling down in the sky. We're still in the king tide cycle, and that is simply due to this time of the year. As we head into October, November, and of course September, we see the extra pull of the moon and the sun alignment resulting in these extra high tides. So that's a result of water about a foot higher than normal there on the St. Johns River. Now temperatures today are going to be comfortable, like I said, mainly staying in the low to mid 80s today. So we can thank the wind today. We will see a little bit of a warm up as those winds relax into next week, but overnight lows, notice the low 60s there over inland Georgia. So you're really feeling the effects of the dry air, especially over inland North Florida, where you get down into the mid 60s, but with that northeast breeze, you're not going to see much of a drop off there along the beaches in the mid 70s. I talked about how the rain drops off, and you can just see as we verify here on the forecast models, there is no rain coming in. And I think right on through the weekend, that's it. As far as rain goes, you're really not going to be dealing with any wet weather. But those winds are still up today, so it's great for sailors, surfers. You've been dealing with those large waves. Today, winds gusting over 20 miles an hour, but those winds will start to contract and drop off here into Thursday. Not as windy, still a little breezy in our southern zones, but those winds will likely relax a bit here. And this is the forecast model showing that tomorrow most of the rain is over Central Florida. So this is the European model showing that stationary front still draped across the lower half of the state, but as drier air continues to settle in southward, even in places like Orlando, Tampa, that rain will focus further across the lower tip of the state. Now, over the upcoming weekend, we're going to see a second nor'easter developing, and this one is going to be different. I wrote about on News4JAX the difference between the dry and wet nor'easters. Notice here across the Appalachians, there's a ridge of high pressure that sets up. That high will also interact with the low over the northern Bahamas and increase the wind flow across North Florida. So we're looking at another nor'easter develop, but this time we don't have the moisture in place. So it's going to be breezy, but it's going to stay dry. And here you can see the clouds with that weak area low pressure off our coastline now. No tropical development there. The tropics are pretty much shut down for the next week. There's the monsoon trough, which is where the winds kind of converge there just north of the equator over the Atlantic. You see a lot of cloud cover there, but none of the models really sniff out any systems developing. It's very unsettled across the Atlantic right now due to unfavorable upper level winds. We have an upper level low that I pointed out there over the central Atlantic. We also have a trough along the eastern seaboard. That's a jet stream configuration that has brought down drier weather. Those systems tend to recurve and keep storms away from the eastern seaboard. So with those two mechanisms in place, also a weak upper level low down over the Caribbean, I don't see anything developing anytime soon. So let's just look at here. I'm showing you streamlines, any spots where winds would have speeds over 20 miles per hour. And you have the classic Venezuelan low pressure center, increasing winds there. The trade winds always stay high in the Caribbean, so that's nothing unusual. You notice here, there's that nor'easter developing this weekend along the Carolina coastline into North Florida. So that's not tropical. So things stay really quiet. And here we are at September 10th, the peak of hurricane season, and there's really nothing to point out. Now the GFS after next week shows a strong tropical wave, and it tries to develop an area low pressure, but that eastern seaboard trough would likely keep it and steer it over the northern, over towards the north in the open Atlantic water. So we'll see if anything can develop by the end of September. Last year we did. We had Helene forming at the end of September and into October, or into the end of August into September. And also we had those October storms like it was Milton. So just because we're quiet, last year we had no tropical systems on the peak of hurricane season. The season ended up pretty busy. So hopefully this season will not be like last season, even though things are quiet out there on the climatological peak of hurricane season. So it might not be the best weekend for boating, not because of any tropical systems, but because of that nor'easter driving waves up to around 5 to 7, possibly 8 feet offshore Saturday and Sunday. So another breezy weekend. And other than that, I think the winds are going to stay up this weekend, keeping surf on the higher side of things, but really should be a pretty dry weekend ahead. So we're bringing down the rain here today, tomorrow, and into Friday, keeping temperatures there comfortable in the mid 80s, which is a little lower than what's typical this time of year. Our average is 88 degrees. And then taking you into the weekend, maybe a shower on the breeze in our southern zones. But other than that, we're looking at a pretty dry stretch of weather, a lot of sunshine and temperatures which are going to stay comfortable for your outdoor plans. All right, so that wraps it up here for today. I'm meteorologist Mark Collins. We'll see you again tomorrow.
See why every day more people are choosing News 4 Jax, Northeast Florida and South Georgia's #1 source for local news.